Welcome back to Return to Sender. I am your host, Sweetie Speaks, and today we are going to dive into a conversation a lot of people are not ready to have. No one else is just you. Virtual reality is changing lives, but not always for the better. When I tell you marriages have ended on this app, people have gone bankrupt on this app. There's so many things that have gone on this app that no one likes to talk about. And I feel like it's very important that we do, because there's a lot of people suffering in silence with addiction with this headset. I am one of them. There is a big period of time that I became addicted to this headset, and still till this day, if I'm not careful, I find myself neglecting my in real life needs to be on this headset. And that is what made me sit and reflect on this topic, because what are the reasons why people are on this headset in the first place, right? And for a lot of people, it's because their in real life situation is not as good as they would hope it to be. And they come into this virtual world and they see the possibilities and they see how peaceful it could be. And they see how fun life could be. It's a bunch of could be's, and so they would rather stay in what could be instead of making it something that is. And I think it's important that we are careful with what we are utilizing this thing to do in our lives. For many people, it may be a hard situation to get out of whatever they are dealing with IRL, so they would rather create a second self in here and live their life in here. And I think that's why a lot of people find themselves being addicted in this space. Marriages have ended, friendships have crumbled, people have lost themselves in the fantasy of who they can be in VR while their real lives fall apart. But is it all bad? I think VR can actually be a tool for growth and transformation. I want to dive deep into this dark truth about VR. We'll talk about the false confidence it gives people, the dangers of herd mentality, and how some use it as an escape instead of a stepping stone. But we'll also discuss how VR can be used for personal development, business, and even manifesting the life you want, if you know how to use it right. Is VR helping you evolve, or is it keeping you stuck? So, we gotta start with the biggest and most controversial topic, right? Relationships. People have lost real life marriages and relationships over VR, believe it or not. And I'm not talking about long distance couples using VR to stay connected. I'm talking about people so deep in their VR lives that they disconnect from the people who actually matter in real life. When relationships fail, when marriages fail, it's never something that was something big that happened, this one thing. It always was something small. It always starts with the seed, right? It starts small. The late nights in the metaverse, a few deep convos with someone who understands you, or maybe a little harmless flirting. Then before you know it, emotional connections form, lines getting blurred, and real life relationships just start falling apart. But here's the thing though, if someone can pull you away from your real life in VR, the issue wasn't just VR. It was already there and VR just exposed it. So if you're in a relationship, please ask yourself, are you spending more time investing in your VR connections than your real life partner? And if you're single, are you using VR to escape loneliness, or are you actually building something real? Because at the end of the day, I think that we should really take a good look at what we are really considering in this space. There's been a lot of situations where people's feelings get real life hurt because they thought their VR friends was their friends IRL, and it's a rude awakening. But the truth is, I think it's crucial to have these conversations because it happens and we see it. And I know y'all see it. We all see it, but we just don't talk about it the way that we should. And I think that the people that do these things, they think that it's okay because we don't talk about it. And that is why I feel like we should just end that, because at the end of the day, these are real people and relationships are really ending. Now, let's talk about confidence. Confidence in this space is one of the biggest things that VR does. It gives people a false sense of self. And in here, you can be anybody, the smooth talker, the confident leader, the boss, the baddest in the room. But the question is, are you that same person in real life? Now, don't get me wrong, I think that VR can help build real confidence. Like, for example, I used to be really afraid of getting on stages. I used to be really afraid of singing in front of people. And honestly, singing in this space and singing on stage has transferred into my real life to the point where I'm not afraid to sing in front of people anymore. And that's amazing. VR can help you with things like social anxiety, public speaking, or even creative expression. And I've seen people go from shy to running entire events and leading communities and building brands. But the problem comes when people start living only in that VR confidence. They talk a big game in the metaverse but freeze up in real life. And I just don't see how you can flex in VR and struggle outside of it. I feel like at the end of the day, that is the power of this headset. When I put on this headset and I saw the opportunities that were in front of me, the way that my life expanded with the opportunities that I now saw in front of me. I think the VR is great, and if it's building you up, that's awesome. But if you log off and you feel like you're not enough in real life, then I think it's time that you take what you're learning here and apply it outside this headset. You have the opportunities and you have the power, and you are worthy and capable of doing those things. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to do it in this reality. You can't do something in one reality and not be able to do it in the next. Show yourself that you are capable. And if first you have to start in VR, then start in VR. But just know that everything that you are capable to do in VR, you are capable of doing IRL. And that is what's so special about these headsets. You know, for some people, this is where they found their purpose. And I know people who have started entire businesses and created brands and even built financial freedom because of the opportunities here, you know? VR gives people a platform to start. You know, it removes barriers and it lets you experiment, connect, and mess up without losing anything. And so failing doesn't seem so bad when you have nothing to lose in this VR space. Well, besides your ego, which that's a big problem in this community. Now, if you've been here long enough, you've seen it. I know you've seen it, don't lie. Let's be real. Clicks, herd mentalities, people chasing status in this virtual world. Reputations are a thing. People act like their avatar's social standing is life or death. Some people build entire personalities based on what's popular in their VR circles instead of who they really are. And I've learned to see the difference. And child, let's not even get into the drama. It is crazy to think that some of us are out here beefing over pixels. But at the end of the day, none of that matters outside of here for real. I think what's most important is, who are you when you log off? And finally, I want to talk about addiction because, yes, VR addiction is very real. And some people go and they spend so much time in VR that their real life literally falls apart. They say, how does someone go bankrupt? First gradually, then suddenly. People start spending hours and hours in this world, but in real life, they're stuck. And so it's easy for someone to become addicted to this space where they're not. For them to create a reality free from everything that they don't want. How freeing is that? But if you're in here so much that you're losing track of time, or you're skipping meals, or you're missing work, that's me, okay? I can't lie. or letting your real world relationships suffer, then I think it's time for a reality check because you don't want to look up and see that you've been bankrupt. I think that VR should be an addition to your life, not a replacement for it. But at the end of the day, VR is what you make it, and it could be a tool for growth, a place to build, and a way to connect, or it could be an escape, or a trap, or a reason to avoid real life. The truth is, the VR isn't the problem. We are. How we use it, how we let it affect us, and whether we take what we learn here and apply it outside. So ask yourself, and I will ask myself this as well: are you using VR to become a better version of yourself, or are you just hiding? Because ultimately, the life that you envision here and the life that you create in VR, you are worthy of creating that life IRL. Don't ever think that you're not, or that you're not capable. All the proof that you need is here in front of you. It's just up to you if you have the courage to build it. And if you have the courage to build it in here, you have the courage to build it out there. That's it for today's episode. If this resonated with you, let me know. Share your thoughts, DM me, and as always, remember, you already have everything you need inside of you. You just have to return to it. I'll see you next time.